The movers refused to enter the house. They left the Cartwright's belongings at the edge of the driveway, boxes stacked like a barricade against the overgrown hedges. "Raccoons in the truck," one muttered, though his eyes kept darting to the mansion's third-floor windows. Emily Cartwright didn't believe in ghosts. Not yet. But the way the afternoon light bent around Blackthorn Manor, as if avoiding its stained glass eyes, made her shiver. They'd gotten the place for a song, a 19th century gothic revival with mahogany paneling and a ballroom. All yours if you ignored the bloodstain seeping through the listing photos. The realtor called it water damage. By sundown, the family learned the truth. Emily's daughter, Lily, swore she heard singing through the heating vents, a woman's voice, sweet and cracked, humming. "Hush, little baby." They found Lily's stuffed rabbit in the attic the next morning, its fur matted with a substance that smelled like copper and lilacs. "It's just rust," her husband, Mark, insisted, scrubbing his hands raw after touching it. The attic key vanished. So did the Wi-Fi. Phones only captured static, except at 3:17 a.m. when Emily's screen flickered with a black and white video. A woman in a Victorian gown, twirling in the ballroom. Her face blurred, but her hands were unmistakable. 6 fingers on each, nails curved like talons. They arrived in a sealed crate addressed to the New Blood. Inside, oil paintings of the original owners. Elias Blackthorn, a railroad tycoon with hollow cheeks, and his wife, Clara, whose eyes followed you like a pendulum. The note read, "A housewarming gift from the previous tenants." There were no records of tenants. The Blackthorns died in 1897. Elias shot Clara in the ballroom, then himself, or so the police report said. Mark hung the portraits. "They're part of the home's charm," he said. That night, Lily sleepwalked into the study and drew a crude sketch of Clara's face, except the mouth was sewn shut. Emily saw them first, silhouettes waltzing behind the ballroom's closed curtains. She pressed her palm to the glass. The temperature dropped, frosting her fingertips. When she looked closer, the shadows weren't human. Too many limbs, heads lolling at unnatural angles. Mark laughed it off until the piano played itself at midnight, not random notes. Clair de Lune, Clara's favorite, according to the journal Emily found hidden in a wall vent. "Elias thinks I don't know about the children," Clara had written, "but the walls sing their names to me. He says it's the morphine. I say it's the house." It spread across the ballroom floor, a dark bloom no mop could cleanse. Lily began hiding food under her bed. For the Shadow Lady, Mark stopped sleeping, spending nights drilling bolts onto doors. "Just raccoons," he repeated, though his shotgun leaned against the fridge. On day 12, Emily found the door. A closet under the stairs, warped shut until the humidity pried it open. Inside, children's shoes, dozens, arranged in pairs, hull left-footed, all caked with mud from the garden. That's when the scratching began. Thick, syrupy liquid oozed from cracks in the nursery. Mark tasted it. "Molasses," he said. But by dawn his tongue had swollen, blackened, split down the middle like a serpent's. The doctor blamed an allergic reaction. The ER nurse, pale as she bandaged him, whispered, "You live in the Blackthorn place, don't you? You live in the Blackthorn place, don't you? My great-grandma worked there. They never found the bodies." "What bodies?" "The orphans. Elias adopted them. Clara tried to stop him. That's why he..." A code blue blared, cutting her off. Emily woke to the smell of gunpowder. The ballroom door stood open, candlelight flickering. Clara's shadow twirled alone, her 6-fingered hands clutching a phantom partner. A gunshot rang out. The shadow collapsed. Then it rose, and turned toward Emily. Mark dug up the rose bushes, convinced moles were tunneling beneath. His shovel struck bone, small, fragile. A child's, then another, and another. Lily giggled behind him. She held a tarnished scalpel, its edge glinting. "Clara's sorry," she said. She didn't want to be alone anymore. The ballroom chandelier blazed to life. Clara's portrait now bore Emily's face, mouth stitched shut. Mark stood at the piano, fingers bleeding as he played Claire de Lune backward. Lily knelt by the bloodstain, arranging left-footed shoes in a spiral. Clara's shadow emerged from the walls, her form solidifying. Not a ghost, a thing of rot and roots, her torso split open like a hollow tree. Inside, the faces of the orphans stared out, their voices harmonizing. "Join us!" Emily ran. The front door led to the ballroom, the windows to the attic. The phone, finally working, dialed 911 and played Clara's final scream on a loop. The bank auctioned Blackthorn Manor again. The new family arrives Friday, a young couple expecting twins. They adore the original details, but if you walk past at night, you'll see 3 shadows in the ballroom now, and in the garden, roses bloom black, their petals shaped like screaming mouths. The realtor's listing still calls it water damage. Detective Samuel Vale didn't believe in ghosts until the wall started bleeding. The Victorian on Willow Street had been a steal. Foreclosure price, hardwood floors, and a murder-suicide in '87 the realtor breezed over like a footnote. Sam hadn't cared. After 20 years chasing cold cases, he was numb to death's residue. But the first night, he learned why the previous owners fled after 3 days. The basement still smelled of bleach and burnt hair. Sam woke to the sound of typewriter keys clacking downstairs. His grandfather's Underwood, vintage, unused since the '90s, sat on the dining table. A fresh sheet rolled into the carriage. The message was brief. "He's still here." The ink smelled coppery. When Sam touched it, his fingers came away red. He blamed stress. The Jane Doe case had consumed him. A girl found in the river last month, hands severed, lips sewn shut. The same Mo as the 1987 killings. The same house. A child's voice humming, "You are my sunshine," seeped through the vents. Sam followed it to the attic, where he found Polaroids scattered like confetti. Each showed the same scene. A man in a pork pie hat standing in the backyard, face blurred. In the background, the house's windows reflected a figure that wasn't there. Sam's hands shook. The Jane Doe's file included a witness sketch of a pork pie hat. That night, his security cameras captured a shadow pacing the porch. Too tall, limbs too elongated. The timestamp read October 31st, 1987. Sam had nailed it shut. Now it gaped, exhaling a draft that reeked of wet soil and ammonia. The stairs creaked underfoot, each groan answered by a wet click from below. The concrete floor glistened. Not water. Thick black fluid pooling around a freshly dug hole. Inside, a mason jar floated, its contents suspended in murky liquid. 2 severed hands, palms pressed against the glass. The Jane Doe's missing hands. Sam's radio crackled to life. Dispatched static warped into a giggle. Armor. This time, it typed a name. Elliot Greer, the original suspect. Greer had owned the house in '87. Vanished after his family's bodies were found. Sam dug through cold case files until dawn. A footnote caught his eye. Greer's daughter had been learning "You Are My Sunshine" on piano before she died. The attic piano played the song at midnight. Sam found the keys moving on their own, sticky with something that wasn't rust. Sam's reflection began lagging. A half-second delay, then longer. By day 11, it mimicked him with a smirk, mouthing words he didn't say. "He's in the walls. He smashed the mirror. Shards spelled guilty in blood he couldn't wash off. Sam's TV flickered to a news broadcast from 1987. Grainy footage showed cops hauling a body bag from the house. The camera panned to a bystander. A man in a pork pie hat. Pause. Enhance. The face was Sam's. Sam opened the door to a girl in a soaked dress. Lips stitched with fishing line. The Jane Doe. She pointed past him to the hallway mirror. His reflection stood alone, grinning. "You've always lived here," it said. Memories flooded him. Elliot Greer's face in the mirror each morning. The typewriters clack, clack, clack as a child. The night he buried something in the basement. The Jane Doe's hand seized his throat. The new detective on the Jane Doe case lives in a charming Victorian. She found an old Underwood in the attic. A single red-stained page loaded. He's still here. Neighbors complain about piano music at night. The realtor swears it's just the pipes. But if you walk past at 3 a.m., you'll see two shadows in the attic window. A man in a pork pie hat and a girl with sewn-shut lips, dancing to a song only they can hear. The moving van left skid marks. Megan Carter noticed it first, the way the driver peeled out of their new gravel driveway, pale-faced, after unloading the last box into their 2-story colonial. City folk spook easy. Her husband, Ben, joked, hoisting their daughter, Lily, onto his shoulders. But Megan's smile faded when she found the music box. It sat scented on the fireplace mantel, ornate and tarnished, though the keys had been removed during the walkthrough. When she lifted the lid, it played anyway. A warped rendition of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Lily clapped. Lily clapped. "The lady said you'd like that," she chirped. "What lady?" "The one in my closet." The first scream came at moonrise. Megan woke to the sound of their golden retriever, Duke, howling at the basement door. Not his usual whine, a guttural, almost human wail. Ben found claw marks gouged into the wood, reeking of sulfur. "Raccoons," he declared, nailing the door shut. But the next morning, Duke's water bowl floated with tufts of gray hair that dissolved when touched. Lily's crayon drawings grew disturbing. Stick figures with too many limbs, a red house bleeding black tears. "That's Mr. Smiles," she explained. "He lives in the walls." The realtor's number disconnected when Megan called. Thick, amber liquid seeped from cracks in the master bedroom. Ben tasted it. Maple syrup. "Old pipes," he shrugged. But Megan found a newspaper clipping in the attic dated 1982. Cedar Lane butchered, disappears with 5 victims still missing. The photo showed a man with a crescent-shaped scar standing in front of their house. Standing in front of their house. That night, the TV switched to static. Lily pointed at the screen. "Mr. Smiles is here." In the snow of dead pixels, a face emerged. No eyes, just scarred lips stretched into a grin. Ben's nails lay scattered on the floor. The stairs groaned under Megan's weight, each step colder than the last. The concrete wall at the bottom bore a child's handprint in red wax. When she scraped it, the plaster crumbled, revealing a crawl space. Inside, a nest of ratty blankets, empty soup cans. A Polaroid of a family sleeping in their bed, taken from the closet. The date on the photo, last night. A porcelain figure in a lace dress appeared on Lily's shelf. Its face matched the missing victims. When wound, it recited the Gettysburg Address in a man's graveled voice. Ben smashed it. The shards cut his palm, spelling leave in his blood. Lily began sleepwalking. They found her in the yard at 3 a.m., digging with bare hands. "Mr. Smiles needs help," she whispered. "He's stuck in the dark place." Ben's flashlight revealed what she'd unearthed. A femur. Megan traced the music box melody to a hollow wall. Behind the drywall, A tunnel snaked into darkness. She crawled until her phone light hit a chamber lined with newspaper clippings and jars of teeth. A cot, a hot plate, and fresh milk in the fridge. Footsteps approached. Lily's scream tore through the house. They found her room empty. The window open. Duke lay gutted on the lawn, his collar nailed to a tree with a note. "Your turn." Dan grabbed his hunting rifle. Megan found the music box playing itself in the basement, its gears grinding out a new tune. Frère Jacques. The wall with the crawl space now gaped open, cold air exhaling the stench of rot. They followed the tunnel to a crypt-like room. Lily sat cross-legged, coloring beside a man with a crescent scar. He held a knife to her throat. "Took you long enough," he rasped. "I've been waiting for new friends." Ben fired. The bullet tore through the man's shoulder. He laughed, black liquid oozing from the wound. "You don't get it, do you?" He tapped the wall. The house answered. Doors slammed. Lights died. The crawl space sealed as walls shifted like living teeth. "It's not the monster," Lily murmured, her eyes pitch black. "The house is. The bank auctioned 341 Cedar Lane as a handyman's dream. The new owners rave about the maple syrup scent. But locals avoid the street after dark. They say if you listen closely, you'll hear a music box playing through the vents. And sometimes a dog's whimper echoes from the storm drains, though animal control found nothing. As for the Carters, check the basement wall. There's a new photo tucked behind the plaster. A smiling family of 3. Their eyes scratched out. The caption reads, "Forever friends?" The letter arrived on a cold, gray morning in March. Its edges yellowed and crisp like it had been sitting in some forgotten drawer for decades. Daniel Hargrove, a quiet man in his mid-30s, tore it open with trembling hands. Inside was a deed. His name scrawled in sharp, black ink, claiming he'd inherited a house from an uncle he'd never met. The address, 47 Hollow Lane, a rural stretch outside Salem, Oregon. A house he didn't even know existed was now his. Curiosity gnawed at him, but so did something else. An unshakable feeling that this wasn't a gift, but a trap. The drive to Hollow Lane was long and desolate, the road flanked by skeletal trees clawing at the sky. When Daniel pulled up, the house loomed like a predator, crouched in the dusk. Its paint was peeling, windows dark and unblinking, and the porch sagged as if exhausted from holding secrets. The air smelled faintly of rot, and as he stepped out of his car, a low groan echoed from somewhere deep inside the house, like wood settling or something shifting in the dark. He fumbled with the rusted key, and the door creaked open with a sound like a dying gasp. Inside, dust hung thick in the air, and the faint hum of silence pressed against his ears. Then, a sharp crack, like a footstep on brittle floorboards, snapped through the stillness. He froze, heart pounding. "Hello?" he called, his voice swallowed by the shadows. No answer. Just the wind, he told himself, though the windows were shut tight. The first night, he explored. The living room was a tomb of faded furniture, the kitchen a graveyard of rusted cans. But it was the basement door that stopped him cold. It was bolted shut, scratched with deep, frantic gouges, like someone or something had tried to claw their way out. He pressed his ear to the wood and heard it. A faint, rhythmic tap-tap-tap like fingernails on concrete. His stomach twisted. He yanked his hand back as if burned. But the sound lingered in his mind. A sinister little melody. By midnight, he found a box in the attic, yellowed newspaper clippings stuffed inside. The headline screamed, "Salem Butcher vanishes after grisly murders," and police baffled by missing victims. The name hit him like a punch. Leonard Hargrove, his great-uncle, a killer who'd lured drifters and runaways to this very house, carving them up in rituals, No one could explain. The last article, dated 1983, said he'd disappeared without a trace. Daniel's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a house. It was a slaughterhouse. Sleep didn't come easy. Around 2 a.m., a sharp thud jolted him awake. It came from downstairs. He grabbed a flashlight and crept to the hall. The beam trembling in his grip, the basement door, bolted when he'd gone to bed, was now ajar, a sliver of blackness spilling out. His breath hitched. Something wet glistened on the floorboards, a trail of dark, sticky liquid leading down the stairs. The air grew heavy with a metallic tang, like blood freshly spilled. He should have run. Instead, he descended. The steps groaned under his weight, each creak a warning. At the bottom, the flashlight caught a glint. Rows of rusted hooks dangling from the ceiling, swaying slightly as if touched by an unseen hand. Then, a whisper, low and guttural, slithered from the shadows. "You're home," he spun around, lights slashing the dark. But nothing was there. Just the hooks, and that relentless tap, tap, tap growing louder. Days blurred into a nightmare. The house seemed alive, taunting him. Mirrors reflected faces that weren't his. Pale, eyeless visages with mouths stretched in silent screams. At night, the walls pulsed with muffled cries, like voices trapped behind the plaster. He found a hidden room behind the pantry, its walls smeared with jagged symbols painted in something thick and brown. A single Polaroid lay on the floor. A young woman, gagged and bound, her eyes wide with terror. On the back, shaky handwriting. She sang so pretty. He tried to leave, packed a bag, got in his car. But the engine sputtered and died. The radio crackled to life on its own, spitting static and a voice. "Stay." The doors locked with a click. Panic clawed at his chest. He stumbled back inside, and that's when he saw it. A shadow at the top of the stairs, tall and crooked, watching him. It didn't move, didn't breathe, but he felt its gaze boring into his skull. Desperate. He tore through Lennon's clippings again. One article mentioned a survivor. A girl who'd escaped, claiming the house. 8 people. She'd babbled about a ritual, a pit beneath the basement where Leonard fed his victims to something ancient. Daniel's mind raced. The tap, tap, tap. It wasn't random. It was a summons. He grabbed a crowbar and pried up the basement floor. Concrete gave way to dirt. Then a stench hit him. Decay. Thick and choking. A hole gaped below, jagged and deep, lined with bones that gleamed wetly in the flashlight's glow. Something moved down there. A ripple of black, oily flesh. Too many limbs twisting in the dark. A voice hissed up. "Not human, not alive. Give me more." He staggered back, but the floorboards buckled. The house shuddered, walls cracking as if waking up. The shadow from the stairs was in the room now, closer. Its face a smeared blur of teeth and hollow sockets. It lunged, and Daniel swung the crowbar, hitting nothing but air. A scream tore from his throat as the floor gave way entirely, plunging him into the pit. When police arrived weeks later, responding to a neighbor's call about strange lights, the house was silent. Daniel's car sat in the drive, keys still in the ignition. Inside, they found the basement door nailed shut from the outside, the attic box empty except for one new clipping. A photo of Daniel, smiling with the caption, "Local man inherits family legacy." The pit was gone, the floor smooth as if never disturbed. But in the silence they swore they heard it. A faint tap, 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 echoing from below. No one stayed long enough to investigate. The house was boarded up, left to rot, but locals say if you pass by at night you can hear it. A voice soft and pleading, begging to be let out. Or maybe begging for someone to come in. The first time Emily Mercer saw the house on Hollow Creek Road, it didn't just whisper, it screamed. The Victorian loomed like a rotten tooth at the edge of the woods, its wraparound porch sagging under the weight of decades. Sunlight slithered through the attic's shattered stained glass, painting the foyer in fractured hues of blood red and bile green. The realtor had grinned too wide, her coral pink nails tapping the sold sign. Built in 1893, she'd said. Yeah, lots of history. Emily didn't ask. Slick as obsidian. When the van vanished, Lucas' phone buzzed. A notification from his Ring camera. The footage showed only static, but the audio, whispers. Dozens of them, overlapping in a language that made his molars ache. By morning, the video had deleted itself. The smell began on day 4, rotting meat, sweet and cloying, seeping through the vents of Lucas' home office. He texted the neighborhood group chat. Anyone else catch that stench? Only Mrs. Ruiz replied. It's Garrick's. Compost. He's been gardening a lot, but Lucas had seen Garrick's backyard. No plants. Just a freshly cemented patio, its surface etched with faint grooves that formed a spiral. That night, he flew his drone over the fence. The thermal camera showed heat signatures pulsing beneath the concrete, glowing orbs the size of human hearts, arranged in a perfect circle. The drone screen fizzed to black when it rebooted. The feed showed Garrick staring up, his face stretched into a smile too wide for his skull. Looking for something, neighbor? The rats came next. Dead ones. Dozens piled at Lucas' doorstep. Their bellies slit open, stuffed with wilted dandelions. The security footage revealed nothing, just the rats appearing in a single frame, as if reality had glitched. Lucas' dog, Rex, refused to go near them. Rex refused to go near them. The vet found shards of human molar in the terrier's vomit later that day. Probably just garbage, the vet said. Lucas knew better. He'd seen Garrick's trash cans, always empty. The sound started on day 11, a low hum vibrating through the walls after midnight. Not mechanical, organic, like the groan of 1,000 throats. Lucas followed it to Garrick's fence, where the earth felt spongy, alive. He jabbed a shovel into the dirt. It struck something metallic, a ventilation grate. The hum surged. Beneath the grate, a tunnel sloped into darkness. The walls glistened with bioluminescent fungus, pulsating in time with the noise. Lucas crawled until the tunnel opened into a chamber. Bodies hung from hooks. Not human, not animal. Twisted things with too many joints, their flesh stitched with black thread. One turned its head, a girl's face sewn onto a spidery limb. She hissed through needlepoint teeth. Lucas ran. Behind him, the grate slammed shut. He held a casserole dish. "Welcome to the block party," he said, lifting the lid. Inside, a gelatinous mass throbbed, veined with blue mold. Rex snarled, then yelped. A sewing needle jutted from his paw. Garrick's smile didn't waver. Pets aren't invited. Lucas begged them to search Garrick's house. The officers returned pale, clutching cups. Coffee cups. "It's just some old guy canning pickles," one said. But Lucas saw the black sludge coating their boots, the same sludge now oozing from his faucets. That night, his YouTube history autoplayed a video he'd never watched. DD coffin shelving. Uploaded by user Garrick Thegray. The comments were dated 1923. A package on Lucas' bed. Small, velvet, tied with a bow made of hair. Inside, a key labeled his cellar. The lock turned smoothly. Garrick's basement was a cathedral of horrors. Yards of pickled eyes lined shelves. A loom wove human hair into tapestries depicting screaming towns. And at the center, a door, crude wood planks nailed into a frame, oozing black sap. Garrick stepped from the shadows, a bone saw humming in his hand. "You're late," he said. "The others are already inside." The door creaked open. Beyond it, Lucas saw his own street, his own house. But darker, hungrier. Shapes slithered behind windows. "Lockdown's over," Garrick whispered. "Time to let them out." The OA declared Hemlock Street. Blight-free after Garrick's sudden move, Lucas' house sold quickly. The new owners adore the compost scent, but late at night, when the streetlights flicker, you can see them. Figures in upstairs windows, waving with too many joints. And if you stand near Garrick's old patio, your phone will ping with a notification. A Ring video of your own front door. The timestamp is always tomorrow. Police arrived minutes later, but by the time they searched the house, he was gone. Only the attic nest remained. And a note, taped to the inside of Sophie's closet. It read, "I'll be back when you're asleep." We left the house that night. We never went back. It's been 2 years. We moved. Changed numbers. We don't talk about what happened. But sometimes, late at night, I wake up to a noise. A soft knock. A faint creak in the ceiling above me. And I know. He found us. But now, there's something even worse. Strange things have been happening outside our new home. A half-eaten sandwich was left on our porch one morning, just like the one we found in the attic. A pile of dirty blankets was stuffed